Israel is at boiling point. From Tel Aviv's highways to Jerusalem's heart, the streets are on fire, blocked, burning, unrelenting. Families demand a hostage deal, protesters cry for an end to war, and Netanyahu's grip is slipping. Tonight, a nation erupts, and the world is watching. Israelis launched a day of nationwide protests calling for hostages to be released and the war in Gaza to end that has dragged on for nearly 2 years, Reuters reported on August 26th. From dawn, demonstrators blocked roads, set tyres ablaze, and unfurled banners calling for a ceasefire deal with Hamas. Many held photographs of loved ones still in captivity. The coordinated National Day of Struggle, organised by the Hostages and Missing Families Forum, began symbolically at 6:29 a.m., the exact moment Hamas launched its assault on Israel on October 7, 2023. Outside the US Embassy in Tel Aviv, protesters waved flags before moving to major junctions across the country. Tel Aviv's Ayalon Highway, the vital Route 1 between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, and the Route 2 coastal road were all paralysed for hours. Police later announced the roads had been cleared, but warned demonstrators that blocking traffic was not freedom of expression and could endanger citizens. At the heart of the unrest were anguished families who say Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government has failed to bring their relatives home.
Israel is standing against Netanyahu and his regime. Another day for protest, another day to make sure the issue of the hostages stays in high priority. Another day to pressure Netanyahu and force him to end the war and get a hostage deal. Trump, if he's declaring for ending wars, if he's declaring for releasing hostages, should stand by his word and force Netanyahu to end the war and get a hostage deal. He can do it if he wants.
Today, the Israeli people are in the streets demanding the end of the war, ceasefire, and the return of all the hostages. This is a resistant day where all the people of Israel are calling upon its government to accept the deal that's on the table, to end the bloodshed that's going on, to end the disaster, the pain, the suffering that's been in this region.
The sense of urgency has been sharpened by Israel's military posture. Despite protests at home and international condemnation, the government is preparing a new offensive into Gaza City, which it describes as Hamas's final stronghold. Netanyahu insists that only intensified military pressure can weaken Hamas and secure the hostages' release. But critics, including hostage families, accuse him of prioritizing political survival over practical negotiations. Far-right members of his governing coalition have meanwhile threatened to resign if Israel agrees to a truce. That pressure has further complicated the possibility of a deal. By August 26th afternoon, all eyes turned to Jerusalem, where Netanyahu's security cabinet was due to convene. Officials confirmed to New York Times that it would be the first such meeting since Hamas agreed to a ceasefire proposal last week. 3 senior officials, speaking anonymously to New York Times, said the agenda would focus on Israel's Gaza offensive rather than the ceasefire offer itself. The proposal has been described as a partial deal that would secure the immediate release of some hostages, increase humanitarian aid into Gaza, and pave the way for talks to end the conflict. But Israeli leaders have signalled reluctance. Instead, they want a broader deal, one that would bring all hostages home simultaneously and permanently disarm Hamas. For families, that stance feels like stalling.
Advancing the plan to conquer Gaza while there is an agreement lying on the table for the Prime Minister's signature is a stab in the heart of the families and the entire nation. Join us today in our collective struggle because only the people will bring them home.
His son Yair was released earlier this year, but his other son Eitan remains in captivity. The cabinet meeting came against the backdrop of yet another deadly day in Gaza. Israeli strikes hit a hospital, killing at least 20 people, including 5 journalists. Netanyahu's office described the incident as a tragic mishap, while the military said it was under investigation. International humanitarian law prohibits attacks on hospitals, though Israel has long accused Hamas of using such sites as military cover. Hamas denies the claims. The strike drew sharp criticism from abroad. In Washington, President Donald Trump, who has often voiced support for Israel, said he was not happy about the attack.
Well, I'm not happy about it. I don't want to see it. At the same time, we have to end that whole nightmare. I'm the one that got the hostages out. I got them out, all of them. Steve Witkoff has been amazing. He's done a great job. But I'm the one that got them all out through my people and through me. And now we're left with probably a little bit less than 20, because I think 1 or 2 are gone. And I said a long time ago, I'm going to get them out, but when we get down to that final 10 or 20, these people aren't going to release them because they're dead after they release them. So it's a nasty situation. Very nasty, horrible thing.
The pressure on Israel is no longer confined to foreign governments. Increasingly, Jewish religious leaders around the world are raising moral objections to the conduct of the war. In the United States, Reform and Conservative Rabbinical Associations, representing nearly half of American Jews, have urged Israel to release more aid into Gaza, calling it a moral priority. In recent weeks, nearly 3 dozen rabbis have been arrested during protests in New York and Washington, NYT reported. A group of 80 Orthodox rabbis signed an open letter demanding that Israel confront its moral obligations, even in the face of Hamas attacks.
Hamas's sins and crimes do not relieve the government of Israel of its obligations to make whatever efforts are necessary to prevent mass starvation. Orthodox Jewry, as some of Israel's most devoted supporters, bears a unique moral responsibility. We must affirm that Judaism's vision of justice and compassion extends to all human beings.
Meanwhile, in Europe, 209 former ambassadors and senior diplomats have published a letter urging urgent action over Gaza and Israel's unlawful actions in the West Bank.
There is such dismay now within the institutions. People are saying, enough is enough. We can't stay paralyzed if the 27 member states can't take action. That betrays our values. So we have proposed 9 actions that can be taken at the state level or by groups of states. European governments are losing credibility, not just in the global south, but with our own citizens. In every member state,
The signatories outlined 9 possible measures, including suspending arms exports and blocking trade with settlements, warning that Europe risks losing credibility at home and abroad if it fails to act.